Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another episode of the Mrs. Omi group. And today we have Maryan, Yusuf, who will be talking to us about positive parenting and the home environment. There.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. And my name is Maryan Yusuf, and I'm an educator. And currently I live in Germany, but I'm also from London. And I have international teaching experience. I've worked in the UAE, in London, and here in Germany. And I'm also a parent, a mother of two myself. And basically I enjoy working with families and parents and supporting them in any way I can.
Great. So, as I said, our topic today is positive parenting and how that is also linked with having a good home environment. Mm-hmm. So, can you tell us what is positive parenting, Maryan, please?
Yes, okay. So basically, positive parenting is a concept that focuses on the parent and the child relationship, nurturing the parent and the child relationship. And basically, it includes teaching, leading, guiding, and providing for the needs of the child unconditionally and consistently. Yeah. So that's
okay.
what positive parenting is. Yeah.
So how can we implement that at home, do you think, especially for new parents?
Oh, there's many ways parents could implement positive parenting. To start with, I think the most important one is regulating our own emotions. And as parents, a lot of the time, if we're angry or, if we're not in the right mood, then this really affects our kids. So basically tuning in with our own emotions and our own behavior, I would say is the first step. And if you realize that you're angry or, maybe you're stressed out, just take a couple of deep breaths and take, a moment or two, for yourself. And I think this is also important that, to find some time during the week to do things that you enjoy. So maybe go for a walk, join a class, meet a friend for coffee, whatever helps you basically to enjoy also not just
to get our downtime.
Exactly, to have your downtime. Yeah. So I would say that's probably the most important thing. And then there are also many aspects like communicating with your children at all times. Try to find opportunities to interact with them every day, whether you're out and about in the home. And for new parents in particular, it's difficult because you're overwhelmed with a newborn and the night routines and with a baby that constantly needs you. So it does require a lot more.
Okay. How about how parents are able to communicate effectively with their children and also actively listening to them as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with this area, this is a really important question actually, and I think this is an area where a lot of parents struggle with, and they think that to communicate with their child, you have to sit down and have maybe a long conversation. Not really. And the most important thing is when your child is talking to you, stop whatever you are doing, look at them, and make sure you give eye contact, so that way they know you are really listening, and basically show interest and enthusiasm by asking questions about what they're talking about, and also just provide opportunities, maybe on the way to school or while you're in the car, to just engage in a conversation. And I would say use an open-ended questions that don't require a simple yes or no. So yeah,
to get more out of them.
To get more, exactly. Yeah.
What about for parents who have more than, let's say, 2 or 3 kids? How can they do what you've just suggested, which may come across a little bit difficult for them to do with with individual children?
Yeah, absolutely. With a bigger family, of course, it's more difficult, but it really depends on your intention as a parent. It's up to you to create that time and to give individual time to every kid. It doesn't have to be. That's the thing. A lot of time parents think that when it comes to spending time with your child, you have to spend time hours and hours. That's not how it is. Even 10, 15 minutes, whatever, you could afford. So when you have more than 2 or 3 kids, maybe make a routine for yourself where you dedicate a special day for a particular child, and you spend 15 to 20 minutes, however long you can, to do something that they enjoy. So maybe tell them, okay, choose an activity, and then mom will sit with you or dad will sit with you, and then we can do this together. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily an activity. It could even be going outside if you want to go for a walk and just have a chat or a coffee. So it's really up to the parents to make that time.
Yeah.
And
And what's
prioritize.
suitable, of course, for the household. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if a parent is feeling guilty, for instance,
Hmm.
how are they able to correct their child's behavior,
Hmm.
and help them learn from their mistakes?
Yeah, this is a really important question. With this, basically, usually as parents, you know, of course, we believe that, correcting our child's behavior and mistakes, is the obvious thing to do now, and which is correct. But the thing that we have to realize is the approach that we use. A lot of the time, when our child misbehaves, we tend to get impatient, angry, or frustrated ourselves, and then when we go to deal with the child, maybe we shout or we yell at them and try to discipline them in that moment. But what happens is, your behavior is not in check, you're frustrated, and then the child gets frustrated, and that just does not lead to a good outcome. So what parents could do instead is use positive discipline. And basically what that means is, you discipline, you know, when you first are in tune with your own behavior, that you calm down first, and then you approach the child. And basically, the concept behind positive discipline is that you focus on the behavior and not the child. So basically, the problem is the behavior and not the child, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So, because a lot of the time parents, they're like, oh, my child never listens, you are so naughty, or she's a bad girl or a bad boy, but that's not the case. The problem is the behavior. And as soon as parents recognize that, then they are able to deal with the situation more positively. And I can give an example. Let's say, you know you are in a social setting, maybe you go to a family dinner, or your child has been invited to a party, and then somehow your daughter hits another child. Now usually we would go over to our daughter, probably grab her, and obviously we're angry by now, and we're like, what are you doing, like, I can't take you anywhere, and just that kind of not
Behavior.
like a
Yeah,
negative tone, yeah.
yeah.
And then and then so what happens in that moment is, both in your mind and in the child's mind, you're reinforcing these like negative, basically this negative image that she's a bad girl, and you're embarrassed, and you portray that to your child. So the best technique would be, instead, what you can do is walk over calmly, and then remove your child from the situation. And the way you address it is that you say, okay, that was not the best behavior, we do not hit others, instead of you are mean, and like, what's wrong with you? Do you
Hmm.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, in that sense. And then what happens then is, you're able to address the situation positively, and you
Hmm.
have a better outcome. Then your child doesn't feel bad about themselves, there's nothing wrong with them, she's not a bad girl, but is that her behavior was not correct. And so what the parent does is, in this situation, is they provide um, you know a teachable moment. They teach and guide the child positively in this moment, and of course then you have a more positive outcome. So,
Oh,
and that's
that can be a bit difficult for a Somali background family.
especially, I think just Somali, but also as a parent, when you're angry, and of course we're human also, and we get impatient really quickly, especially sometimes when you're out in public, or in different situations. You can't always keep calm, and
Yeah.
I think we've all had those moments. But I think the most important thing is, once you realize that, what you need to address is the behavior, and not that your child is bad, but the behavior is bad, and that you have to be mindful of the language you use. That's
Hmm.
the point I'm trying to make, because telling your child what's wrong with you, you never listen, like, I can't take you anywhere, it's embarrassing. These are things that will basically that they will instill in themselves, and
Yeah.
we don't want to do
And
that.
potentially hurt them, actually. Yeah.
Exactly, of course, and in the long term it will,
Yeah.
But if you say instead, okay, your behavior was not correct, we don't hurt others, hitting is not nice, it makes others, sad, etc. Of course, it depends also on the child's age. Then, then the child will not feel bad, and you're addressing the issue, as I said, in a positive manner, which
I
is, I
see.
think, as parents, is what we all want to achieve eventually.
Okay. Now, let's touch up on the home environment a little bit. How can, before I ask you questions about the home environment, how can this be linked with positive parenting?
Oh, okay. So with the home environment, and again, you know, parents should try and create a positive home environment. This again, it's all interlinked, and it goes back to positive parenting, because if you're trying to, use the positive parenting approach, then you're going to use the positive discipline, a positive home environment, and so it all comes together. Now, as for the home environment, there are two aspects, and I would say the first aspect is the physical part, and there's also the emotional part, the emotional health of the home, which a lot of parents, don't realize how important this is. So I can go into details.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
I would love to hear that. Go on.
Okay. So basically, when it comes to the home environment, the first aspect, the physical environment, basically is parents should create a space for their kids to play and learn. I mean, it's crucial. And, it doesn't matter how big your family is. I'm sure, every parent can create a bit of space. It could be in your child's room, it could be the family room, in, any area in the house, basically. And also, parents should provide their children with basic resources and materials like, paper and colors and pencils, any learning materials that, they need, at least the basics. And I would also, highly recommend that you have a desk, just even at least one. And, then if there are a lot, many kids in the household, then, as the parents could create a schedule where each child gets maybe 20 or 30 minutes a day,
Yeah.
etc., to use their turn. And so these are really important. And I would also suggest that parents have books in the home. And this is really important because, once your children are exposed to books and reading, then, they develop a passion for reading in the long term. And, books, you can borrow some from the library and purchase age appropriate books. So these are the physical aspects of the home.
Okay. Now, with regards to the home environment,
Mhm.
what home environment is best suited for a child, other than what the two that you've just mentioned?
Yeah, the best home environment for any child is, is basically where they feel safe and comfortable the most. And the best environment for any child is their home, because that's where they go to at the end of the day, after a long day at school, and also for adults after a long day at work, eventually you go home. And home is where you want to feel the safest, the most comfortable. So parents should create this, positive home environment for their kids. And because children can't do that, they don't have that control. Parents are what make the home.
Yeah.
And and by creating this warm, loving and calm environment, this is really crucial to children's, of course, development. And parents, can do that. It doesn't really take much. You don't, the thing is, a lot of parents think that, okay, I need to buy my child like the latest, clothes and all these fancy things, but not really. I think a lot of time when we think of home, you want to associate it with a peaceful place, a place of warmth, love, where all the people in the house respect each other.
Yeah.
And and that's how parents could create this environment, by also having some rules in place. Example, in our household, we say please and thank you, we respect one another, we give each other space. And also behavior, if someone is feeling frustrated and angry, we do not lash out or hurt others. We maybe go to our room or just somewhere in the house and keep calm and for a few minutes, etc. So It's really not that complicated, honestly. Just, if you think about it as an adult now, how do you want to feel about your home? It's pretty much the same for a child, but even more important, because that's, their their safe place, and that's what it should be.
And also allowing children to express themselves, like yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes, yes, yeah. They have to, home should be the place where, where parents should encourage for their children to even talk about uncomfortable topics, if there's, because if you're going to have these conversations at home, where they're going to have them.
that's
And
right.
every child should have the chance to express themselves, and and parents should be there to guide them and teach them. And so even if that means, your child is having a tantrum, or they are upset, parents should be there to basically support them and say, okay, I understand, you're frustrated, you're angry, and we all experience different emotions, and all emotions are okay. But this is not, how we behave when we are angry, or we do not, lash out when we are like frustrated. Instead, we just take deep breaths and etc. So definitely parents, have to encourage that, to express themselves.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
So how do you think, uh, with the current situation right now, the world is going through a pandemic,
Yeah.
how do you think this has affected, even if you were doing the positive parenting at home, and you
Mm-hmm.
had like a good environment, to
Mm-hmm.
raise your children,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think people are feeling right now? Do you think they're still following those positivity, in terms of parenting?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's intense, because especially, and from my understanding, a lot of kids are, having in school online, and so that means, you are in the same space pretty much all day long,
Hmm.
and of course, it can get very frustrating, not amongst the parents, among the siblings. So I think it's definitely challenging times for us as parents,
Yeah,
but the most important thing to remember is that, at the end of the day, we are the parents and we are in control. And it's up to us to make our children feel comfortable. And these times are stressful for everyone. But again, if we are in tune with our own behaviors and our own emotions, then we're more likely to make it, easier for our kids. And um within the home, take it in turns to, uh, among siblings, to for everyone to focus on their studies, and maybe while one child or two kids are working on a particular activity, it depends, of course. If it's a single parent household, it's quite difficult because you're on your own. But if it's, if both parents are around, or even extended family members, then maybe two or three kids could go outside for a walk with one parent, while the other two, maybe get something done at home. So you just have to work with what you have. And it's difficult for everyone, and especially for kids, because they require a lot of physical activity, and again, it depends on the age too. So when a lot of frustrations build up, take your kids out, go for a walk. And of course, it's not as easy, but maybe either take it in turns. Yeah. But, the key is parents have to be mindful that, we are going through these challenging times. And it's challenging for us as adults. Imagine, how it is
yeah,
for kids. And a lot of time they can't even make sense of it. So we have to be calm and positive for them.
absolutely right. Okay, your final tips on positive parenting. What are your 5 go-to positive parenting?
My 5 go-to tips. Okay, so basically, and I already mentioned the regulating our own emotions as parents. Then I would say lead by example. This is a really huge one. As parents, you know, we have to be mindful of our behavior, of course, and we set the example for our kids. So if you want to raise happy, healthy, kind, respectful children, then you have to demonstrate those behaviors yourself. Show your kids, how to be kind, how to respect others. So definitely lead it by example is a huge one. And next, I would say, and connection, time and connection. It's very important that parents spend time with their kids, and try and spend time with your children every day. And again, 15 to 20 minutes, it doesn't have to be for a long time. because the only way you could build a good relationship with your child and that connection is by giving them quality time.
Mm-hmm.
And and this applies to all ages. Again, get your child to choose an activity they enjoy and work through this, and let them take the lead. And also, you know, be respectful of their desires and their interests. And you know, children are constantly changing. Your child might be into one thing this week, and the next week he's into a
Yeah,
completely different thing.
seen that.
So yeah, so you know, parents have to really keep up. It's not an easy job. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
My younger one, one minute she wants to be a ballerina, another day she wants to be an artist. So
yeah.
it changes. Every other week is a different thing.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I would also add, oh, again, I would really like to emphasize on the positive discipline. And honestly, when it comes to discipline, a lot of the time, you know, when parents get angry, you know, they tend to punish their kids for simple things. And we all make those mistakes. I mean, we're
Hmm.
human too, but you know, be mindful that this is the behavior that we want to target. It's the bad behavior, that your child is not bad. They're not, you know, and there's nothing wrong with your child, honestly. It's just the behavior. Address that as a family, teach them, you know, this is how we behave. These behaviors are appropriate, these behaviors are inappropriate. And just, you know, constantly, again, keep, you know, keep calm, be loving, be loving and firm. And it's possible to do, you know, both. And that's actually another tip and that I would
Yeah.
give parents, to be loving and firm. And you know, and you could be both. And what that means is, you know, just because you're not being harsh or given harsh punishments does not mean that, you know, you're a pushover parent. You could still have your rules, your expectations, your boundaries. Just make it clear, and just be mindful of the way you express yourself. And instead of just, you know, giving demands, you know, explain, you know.
Hmm.
So instead of saying don't do this, don't do that, tell your child why they shouldn't do certain things and why they shouldn't behave certain ways. I think that's definitely more, that impacts them more. And
Do you think confiscating when they get to a certain age, confiscating certain things, you know, that they adore, like let's say tablet or I don't know, their favorite toy? Do you think that works?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. These are consequences. I mean, so example, let's say you have a 15-year-old, okay, and you know they're playing a video game. You have, and important things, you know, with this age group is, you know, you have to have an agreement
Hmm.
before that. So you say, okay, you know, you could have up to an hour to play your video games. Once the time's up, then you have to approach your child and say, okay, now it's been an hour. You know, we had an agreement that you're going to play for an hour. So now, you know, I'm going to take away the video game. I'll put it in my closet or whatever, you know.
Hmm.
And but just remind them that you had that agreement. And whereas with the younger child, of course, you know, you'd use a different approach, you know. For them, it's you know, the younger they are, the more difficult it is. So maybe like a visual reminder, something like maybe um, like a sand timer where they could actually see how long they have, and or even like a mini clock, whatever works. And for you, you know, you put the time on. You say, okay, in 20 minutes you have to clean up, and you know, and playtime is finished, so we can get ready for dinner. Yeah,
Yeah, I often find saying no
yeah.
hard. You know,
Hmm.
um, do you have the same problem, like saying no to your child?
Absolutely, yeah. And the thing is, that's why, again, you know, just saying no, you know, it's, what does that mean? You have to tell them why you're saying no. I mean, as parents, it's of course it's easier for us, especially, you know, when you're in the house and you know you're in between doing maybe preparing dinner or something, and you're like on the rush. It's like, no, you know, you cannot, no, you cannot do this. And you know, for them it's frustrating because they don't know why they've been told no, you know.
Yeah.
So it's better you explain. Again, you know, this is where positive parenting comes in, where you teach your child, say, okay, you know, I'm sorry, right now you cannot, you know, have that toy, or you cannot play right now because we have to get ready, you know, to go outside, or we have to get ready to have dinner. And just keep explaining. Eventually they will understand. But the more you say no, the more frustrated they get, then you get frustrated, and just becomes a cycle. And then, you know, you both end up being more upset
Yeah.
because they've been told no, then they having a tantrum, and then you're frustrated. And I think you understand the rest.
Yeah.
It's difficult, yeah.
Okay, can you tell us about your platform, Your Journey, how it all started, what was the reason behind you starting it, and what should we look forward to, what's to come, inshallah.
Yeah, I actually forgot about it to mention it before. So basically, a few weeks ago, I started an online platform on Facebook and Instagram, and called Hoya Journey. And basically, I use the space to help parents and just give them everyday information, advice, and tips, and both in English and of Somali actually, which I think is very important. And basically, the inspiration behind this is, as an educator myself, I've worked with many parents, and as an early as educator or as a teacher, and I'm passionate about parenting and just helping parents in general. So I thought, why not, use the skills and the resources that I have to have a platform online and help others, especially in the Somali community. We need a lot of the time. The thing is, Somali parents, just like other parents, we all want the best for our kids, but sometimes when you don't have the tools, to do this, or the information, then it can be difficult. Like, one thing I've noticed is, especially in our community, a lot of parents think that they could not support their kids at home because of the language barrier, but
Mhm.
that's absolutely not true. you know okay, you may not be able to necessarily read, your child the book, but encourage them, tell them reading is good. Take your book out, what are you reading about, ask them questions. And so this is was really a key point, why I also chose to do enough Somali to help the Somali parents. Yeah.
Okay. Is it usually a written information? Is it videos? Like, how do you share this information?
I just started, so I eventually I want to get to sharing videos. At the
Okay.
moment, I make posts where I post a photo, maybe a quote, or just even tips.
Okay.
You could say to your child every day. So yeah, that kind of similar content.
Fabulous. Okay. Anything else we should look forward to with you? Any projects coming up? Are you moving back to London, or that's it? You've left permanently.
Yeah, no, now I'm in Germany, so, and I've been here the last couple of years, but I do miss London, honestly. Like, I'm there every few months. It's pretty much still home, and the good
Yeah.
thing is it's only an hour away. So I'm like in London probably every 2 to 3 months. And you never know, maybe, yeah, maybe next year or sometime, maybe in the long term, I do definitely want to come back to London. I miss the family, I have to say, especially now that when you're a parent and you have kids, we don't really have family here. And every time we go to London, I see how much my son thrives from, having his aunties around and his uncles and just, grandparents. So yeah, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. So, the more help you have, the better.
So can I ask, do you speak Somali to your kids at home?
Absolutely, 100%.
Brilliant.
Honestly, a lot of the time, people. The thing is, mashallah, my son, he's almost 4. He will be 4 in 2 weeks' time,
Yeah.
and basically, everyone that has met him, they say, mashallah, his Somali is so good. And only because myself and my husband, we decided a long time ago, okay, once we have kids, we're gonna speak Somali because, this is your mother tongue, and if he doesn't learn it now, or if kids don't learn their mother tongue now, when are they gonna learn it? I have seen so many kids, countless kids that don't speak any Somali, and I find that, how can I say it, not really good, because it's like, your mother tongue is important, and of course so is English and other languages, but and the thing is with kids, once they are fluent in one language, then it becomes easier for them to become fluent in other languages. And a lot of parents don't know this. They think that, okay, if my child, speaks in Somali, when they go to school, they won't be able to keep up or learn English, etc. But that's not true. In
Mm-mm.
fact, if your child's fluent in Somali, in their mother tongue, which is usually the language they should be fluent in, once they go to school, honestly, they will pick up really quickly. In my case now, my son, and he recently started kindergarten here in Germany, and he didn't speak a word of German. But when we went there, they said it's absolutely fine. They said usually kids who come and they are fluent in their mother tongue are the ones who learn the quickest, honestly. And now in the last few weeks, mashallah, he's really picking up quickly, and that's only because he's fluent in one language, that it's easier for him to learn the next. Whereas if your child maybe is not fluent in their mother tongue, they know a bit, or their understanding is not so good, and they go to school and they're exposed to other languages, honestly, they get confused, and even it delays their language development. So
That's
this is
right.
yeah, and especially in our generation, the kids that we are raising now, if we don't teach them Somali now, when are they going to learn it? We're
That's
even
right.
losing our Somali. So
It's a bit shaky itself. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
my
So
upbringing was whatever you're learning in school, that's your problem. You leave it in
yeah,
school, because once you
absolutely,
step
yeah.
into the house, it's
Mhm.
just pure Somali.
Yeah, it was the
And
same. Hmm.
and it's weird how the way that I'm doing things, honestly, compared to my parents, I absolutely regret it. I should have been, hot on the Somali from the beginning. But
Yeah,
it's never too late. I got
exactly.
phonics
Hmm.
lately from a sister who created some Somali phonics,
Okay, that's
and
great.
another sister, a book from her as well,
Mhm.
who's doing this. So I'm slowly getting there, alhamdulillah.
That's really good. Yeah, no, keep it up. As I said, it's not too late, but honestly, the earlier the better. So yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any final words for us, Maryan, before we let you go?
Yeah, basically, especially during these hard times, it's challenging as parents. Honestly, again, just be mindful of your own behavior. Honestly, once you're calm, you could enjoy parenting. And that's another thing. A lot of the time, when and all the parents I've worked with, or even when I see parents now, the first thing they say is, oh, parenting is so stressful. I'm so stressed out. And, I always tell them, you know, you know, just, you have to enjoy parenting. And how can you enjoy parenting? Make things easier for yourself. A lot of the time, especially, you know, and moms in particular, a lot of time maybe you caught up with housework, and, when the kids come back from school, you're putting in dinner. Okay, of course, every parent wants their child to eat, healthy, fresh food. But, on the days that you know that are going to be very stressful, you don't have to necessarily cook a three-course meal. You could meal prep, even maybe like a sauce or something, put it in the refrigerator, and then maybe just put on a bit of pasta with the sauce, etc. So on the days that you're going to be busy, plan ahead. This really helps you, so that way you can get to have time with your kids. And this is what matters when they grow up. They're not going to remember, of course they're going to say, my mom or my parents, they always gave me, yummy food, whatever, delicious food. But that's not what will matter. What will matter is the time and the connection that
That we built.
that you built with them. So, and in order to raise good, happy, healthy kids, you have to be present. A lot of things that happen right now is, you'll see a parent, scrolling through social media on their phone, their child's maybe talking to them. Put your phone away and pay attention to your child. Look at them, because when you're on your phone and your child's talking to you, you're not giving them your full attention. And it's these things that matter the most. And 10 years from now, 15 years from now, they could remember the memories that you have built. How, places that you experienced together, the moments you laughed together. These are things that matter. And to enjoy parenting, don't stress yourself out. Of course, it's difficult when parents are working, and just living the everyday life, and it's
Yeah.
difficult. But maybe be mindful, make a conscious decision, say, okay, I want to be more present in my children's lives. I'm gonna, be the calm parent, the loving parent. And yeah, and that's
Yeah.
and that's the
And
key.
inshallah.
And also one more thing,
Hmm.
ask for help. It's not it's not shameful. A lot of time parents, when they are stressed or overwhelmed, they think, that they can't ask for help. Why not? Especially if you have family members around, tell them, say, I need a break. This week has been very stressful for me. I need, a couple of hours, and take that time. Because, once, you're in a better situation, then you can parent,
Hmm.
in
A
a
lot, a lot of
better
the
way.
times in our community
In our
specifically,
community, especially. Oh,
I think that people just don't want to. They see that as a sign of weakness, asking for help,
absolutely, yeah,
which is
yeah,
very bizarre to me. If
yeah.
I need help, I need help. I don't care.
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think it's not just in our community. I think it's just with parents in general. They, somehow they think that, people think what's wrong with them.
yeah,
Maybe they find it difficult. But we're humans at the end of the day, and we all go through difficulty, and these are the times that we need other family members or friends the most. And why not?
That's right.
Especially if it helps you to be a good parent. Why not?
Yeah, and ultimately, you resting, you're coming. It's your child that's going to benefit at the
Of
end of it.
course.
They're going to get the
Absolutely.
best of you, the best
Yeah.
version of you once you've
Yeah.
rested, which is
Yeah.
good.
Absolutely. Another thing is I've noticed, and in fact, this actually happened to one of my students many years ago. I remember, and I had this kid in my class, and he said, we were just talking about his weekend and and things that he did, and he said, miss, my parents are not happy. And it made me so sad because children, they see everything. And I said to him, why are your parents not happy? And he said, I don't know, they seem so busy all the time, and they're not happy, they don't enjoy life. And I felt so, I felt
Oh
bad
my
for him
God,
because
how old was he?
yeah, he was like 7. So
Wow.
the thing is, and that's another thing, we're so caught up in just, the day-to-day life and the stress of life, that we forget that our kids are watching us,
Yeah.
and that, if we don't show them that we're passionate about life and that, we're enjoying our life, how could you expect them to enjoy theirs? And they see everything. So make that decision to say, okay, you know what, my kids are important, my home or my family is the most important thing. I'm going to be present. I'm going to um get rid of all distractions and focus on them. These are really important stuff, and be mindful that they are watching. So lead by, you know give a good example. Yeah.
No, thank you, thank you. That's very, very well-rounded advice, mashallah. How can people reach out to you? So after this video, if anyone wants to reach out to Maryan and maybe ask her for advice on positive parenting, home environment, how can they reach out to you, inshallah?
So basically, you can reach out to me and on my page Hoya Journey, and also my Facebook page Maryan Yusuf. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Maryan. Honestly, I
Thanks
had
for having
fun.
me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thanks.